Hi, everybody. This is Jason, and it is 3:45 on Tuesday. So you know what that means? It's time for our weekly Geek Out, which is being brought to you by Flint Hills Resources. And I pointed the wrong way. Flint Hills Resources behind me. So today we have a very, very special guest, and I'd like to introduce her. It is Caroline, and she's 11 years old. Caroline, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm on the kids committee here at the Houston Museum of Children's.
Okay, that's okay. I'll let you know what it is. It's the Children's Museum
Museum.
Houston. So go ahead and say
Wrong.
it again. Go ahead and say it again. Children's Museum Houston.
At the Children's Museum Houston.
Awesome, that's great. Now, the reason I have Caroline here with me today is because Caroline actually asked the geeks a question. And what was that question, Caroline?
What is the difference between astronomy and astrology?
Oh, excellent, excellent question. Now, here's something you may or may not know. I'm going to ask a poll question right now. I'm going to put it to like either heart react or like it. And this is the question. Which came first, astrology or astronomy? If you think astronomy came first, hit the heart react. If you think astrology came first, hit the like react. And I'm going to ask my partner here, which one do you think came first?
That's a hard one. I have to go back on what I was thinking because technically I think it's astronomy going back to ancient Greece and Rome because how would they have named the planets for their gods if they did not know how to look up into the sky and find out how they are?
That is an excellent, excellent thought process. I love how you thought that out. Like, how did they name them? Unfortunately,
It,
astrology came first.
I thought it was astrology too because it's hard because there it's like it's complex because it's not always that easy to think about like a certain question like a math question. It's always
Exactly.
something going on that's not right, that's different, that's but not immediately said, but also because it could be founded at the same time, but one was more popular first.
And it was really very close together.
Hmm.
But let me
Yeah.
explain to you why astrology came first. Because the Greek word for star is astra.
Hmm.
And anytime you see astro next to ology or bio next to ology, it means the study of. That's what
Hmm.
ology means. So astrology is the study of the stars. That's what they were really, really interested in.
Hmm.
Now, you are absolutely correct. They named the planets. Now, they didn't name all the planets because they could only see 5 of them,
Hmm.
but they did name them. But they didn't call it Jupiter. Do you know what they called it?
They called it, I think they called it Zeus, because Jupiter is the
Yeah,
Roman
yeah,
god, which is
pretty much.
Zeus.
Yeah. Very good. You know
Hmm.
your stuff. Now, astrology did become astronomy. And it's because you're right. They started moving beyond just stars. They started thinking about like the moon and the planets and all that stuff. So, like someone like Hipparchus, a really famous thinker of the Greek times, he was an astronomer. He wasn't an astrologer. Okay, he was an astronomer. He actually was one of the first people to think that we spun around the sun and not the sun spinning around us.
Yeah,
He
like
used to, yeah,
Galileo
exactly.
in the
Long before
Renaissance.
Galileo, he
Hmm.
thought that, but then he actually corrected himself. He's like, no, it can't be because of the way the sun is moving. He actually was like, nah, it's going around us because they didn't have the tools back then to
Hmm.
really see all this stuff. It was because of Galileo's invention. What invention was that?
The telescope.
Excellent. It was because he invented a telescope that we could start to get some of these answers. So that's really good.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
he didn't really invent it, he just sort of improved upon it. And
Yeah.
basically, a telescope was a spy scope or a sailor scope. He just went like this. He put it up instead of this way. So, yeah,
Don't need to
it
be
all
looking
kind of,
into other people. Like
right. Like I used to
lives. We're
look at,
not pirates anymore.
exactly.
We could be aliens.
Yeah, we were looking like, what is that? Maybe we can see what that big bright thing in the sky looks like. Okay. So, do you know what astronomy really is the study of?
Isn't
Or
like the
how would you
study
define it? How would you define it actually more so?
astronomy? If I would define it, it has astro, so it has to mean it has to do with the stars, but doesn't mean the study of our solar system, like
Yeah.
the space in our solar system.
Exactly, the space in our solar system. So it's everything. It's the planets, it's the moons, it's the asteroids, it's the meteors, it's the meteorites, it's the comets, it's all of that stuff. And the one star in our solar system, which that one star is called,
The
Caroline?
sun.
Exactly. It's called sun or soul, however you want to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's think about astrology again for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think astrology today is sort of the
I
study
think
of?
astrology today, I think it's more of what the sign can't English today.
It's
What the
okay.
signs in what the star signs mean, and do they actually have something that means on life? Like, does it, if something is in life, does it affect your life in any sort of way?
Exactly. That's really good. It's
Mhm.
how the stars and the planets and the moon affect our lives. The
Mhm.
way they move, it's how it affects us. So that's
Mhm.
why in almost every newspaper, online newspaper today, but also printed, there is always an astrology section, or a daily, like sort of like, hey, if you're a
Horoscope.
Cancer, horoscope, exactly. If you're a Cancer, this is what's going to happen to you, which is what I am. I'm a Cancer. What is your sign there?
I'm a Capricorn.
So Capricorn, Cancer right here. Okay, awesome. So that's what it's like kind of saying, like, how do these things affect our lives? And some people have a huge belief that they affect us quite a bit. Like if things go in retrograde, they start to, look like they're appearing to move backwards or spin the wrong way or all that kind of stuff. They start to think, ooh, that's a bad sign. Or if certain things align together, like, ooh, that's a good sign. So it's very, very popular. I would actually probably say more people read about astrology today than they do astronomy. What do you think? What do you think, Caroline?
I think so too, because I think even though there's like everything you want to know about astronomy, like it's so open, but astrology, it's more like it it cannot never be determined. It's always changing. It can never be
Right.
like always the same. It's like how you walk around every day. You might walk on the same
Exactly.
feet every day, but you walk in a different step pattern every day. You don't walk the same way every single day. Otherwise, it's kind of boring after like a week.
I agree. You guys sometimes you got to dance up your steps. And that's really interesting because you're right. Astronomical events that we find interesting, they don't occur all that often. Like, we want to see eclipses because they're cool, like a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. They're
Or
cool.
like when Jupiter and Saturn were really close together.
Right. That was really cool because they looked almost like they were one big blob.
Yeah.
So
One
that's the
big
thing. Like
blob.
astronomy events, they take time and it's not always happening, but astrology is every single day. Now I'm going to ask you another question, and this is important to what we're going to talk about with astrology. Do you know what the ecliptic is?
Hmm. I I'm guessing it has something to do with the eclipse. I think it has something to do with like the eclipse phenomenon.
Exactly. That's very good. It's an imaginary line where the moon and the sun and the planets, they all travel across. And it's called the ecliptic because it's where eclipses occur. We can always know where eclipses are going to happen because they're going to happen on the ecliptic. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to happen always like right on the ecliptic, but they might just be a few degrees north, a few degrees south. And
They're
that's
most likely in the radius of the ecliptic.
exactly. They're very, very close. It's not going to be something like way far away from the ecliptic. It's going to be like right there. Now, here's my next question for you. Do you know what constellations travel on the ecliptic?
It's the ones that I think are by.
Want me to give you a hint? I'll give you a hint. It starts with the letter Z.
I shouldn't be cheating because I have an astrology girl right next to me.
Oh, don't cheat. What's that? What is that collection of constellations that are part of the?
Z.
It's the
Oh, the zodiacs.
Exactly. It's the zodiac.
We were just
That's what
talking about.
travels on the ecliptic. That's
Uh-huh.
why
They're different for every month.
It's also why different people have a different astrological sign, because they're traveling through the ecliptic through different times of the year. Now, here's the strange thing about both the word zodiac and the ecliptic. So there's a word in zodiac that sounds like a place you go to view something. What word do you think that is?
You glitched out, so you froze and I couldn't hear you.
Oh, let me ask again. There is a kind of a word in the word zodiac that sounds like a place we go to. What word is that, do you think? It's a place we go to see something really cool. Lots of creatures hang out at this place we go to.
Oh, the zoo.
Exactly, it's the zoo. So here's the funny
Zodiac.
thing. The zodiac is all living things, right? Cancer's a crab and Capricorn is a goat and all that kind of stuff.
A mermaid tail.
Right. But you know what's weird? On the zodiac, there's Libra, which is actually like a scale weight. So there's one non-living thing on the zodiac. And here's the other interesting thing. There's actually 13 signs of the zodiac. And the 13th is also a living thing known as Ophiuchus, which is a doctor, okay? And there's a doctor holding a snake, and that's why the international symbol of the doctor is a pike with two snakes going around it, because of
That's
Ophiuchus.
also Hermes' staff. What's it called?
That right now, I could not answer you.
I don't remember.
Astrology is a little off. But
I read about this every day.
It's okay. You'll remember it and you'll say it at 2 a.m. this morning and everyone will be like, you can write in the comments when we actually post this. You can be like, the Hermes staff was, okay? Now, what was I gonna say? So Ophiuchus is in the zodiac, not considered one of the zodiac signs, and the sun travels through Ophiuchus the longest. Interesting, huh? Just took him out. We was like, we don't need that guy.
We don't need him. We have 12 months per year. We don't really need a 13th.
Exactly.
Yeet.
We get gone.
Get gone.
Here's my next question, and then we're going to actually do the activity that we're here to do. How would you define a constellation? What is a constellation?
A constellation is like a cluster of stars that usually go up into a shape, and
Perfect.
And if people look at it long enough, it's like, this looks like whatever this looks like.
Exactly, except for mine. Cancer looks like nothing. It looks like a little, I don't know. It looks maybe like a little body with claws coming off of it, but it really doesn't.
Capricorn looks like a triangle with some very crooked edges.
A lot of the reasoning behind the naming of the zodiac or of all constellations was because it helped tell stories. So they said like over here, this does look kind of like a big sea monster, and that does look kind of like a warrior, and that does look kind of like a flying horse.
Yeah.
So there's the story of Perseus. Okay.
A ton of them are based off of Greek myths, like Pegasus. Almost all of them. Where are you?
Almost all the northern constellations, actually all the northern constellations are based on Greek myth. All the southern constellations are based on nautical or scientific instruments. So except for one, there's a Southern Cross, okay? And that was sort of like a religious one that they put up because it looks exactly like a cross. All right, Caroline, let's go ahead and tell everybody what we're gonna do today. We're actually going to make constellations. Now, we will have this up, these little constellation cards right here. We'll have these up for you all to download if you want, okay? There's 8 constellations on each one. That means we have 24 that are available to you. But there are 88 constellations in total. So if you don't like the ones you see here, look up the one you want to make and go ahead and do that, okay?
Yeah.
You're also gonna need some black construction paper. You're going to need some UV beads, and I'll tell you what's special about these. Actually, Caroline's going to show you what's special about these in a moment. Okay. Go ahead and get some glue.
Probably kind of important.
I'm going to actually label mine using a Sharpie and these little address labels, but you can label any way you want, and don't worry about it if you're not labeling them right now. It's fine. And then finally, just get some regular old pop beads. Okay, just get some regular pop beads. Okay. So we're both going to go ahead and make a constellation really quickly. It won't take us that long. I'm going to make Aries, and you're going to make your astrological sign.
Yeah,
right?
I think I'm going to make Capricorn.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do this really quick, and then we'll show everybody what's going to happen after that. All right?
Right.
Okay, so I only have to do 3, so it's going to be really quick for me.
Me too.
All right. Now, what I like to do, hey, John, can you tilt the camera down a little bit for me? Is I just put my glue down first. Thanks, John. I just put my glue down first in the shape I want. And I put a lot of extra glue. And then I put the beads on after. So I'm going to just go ahead and put a bead there. I'm going to put a bead there. And I'm going to put a bead right here. So I did a really easy one, so it was fast, okay? But some of these constellations have, 15 stars in them that you can use, all right?
They're
so
really
I'm just doing a
big.
quick one so you just can see how you want to do it.
And I finished mine.
You
I only
finished
have 3
yours?
left.
Okay, so let me talk about that term really quick, UV bead. What's really great about this sort of question that Caroline asked, and what we're doing is we're learning that astrology is the study of stars. We're learning that constellations are shapes in the sky that allow us to tell stories across all kinds of different cultures, actually, okay? But we're also being able to learn that a star in the sky right now, known as the sun, is going to react to the chemicals in these beads. And Caroline's going to show us what's going to happen to them when that reaction occurs. So Caroline, go ahead and go to your sun and come on back.
Would
and
you
I'll keep
like
explaining
me?
stuff.
Would you like me to take Would you like me to take my Capricorn or just take some beads?
Take your Capricorn. Let's see how it turns out. Okay.
Okay.
Like before you go, though, come back real quick. Show us what it looks like really quick beforehand. So we see the before and after. Okay, beautiful. Now go on and I'm going to keep talking about stuff. Now, there's different kinds of radiation emanating from the sun, and we call this the electromagnetic spectrum. It's from microwave, or actually from radio, all the way to gamma. Within that spectrum, there's visible light, and visible light is broken into the colors of the rainbow, which is Roy G. Biv. So it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Now, the next radiation after, or the next wavelength after visible light is ultraviolet. So right after violet, there's ultraviolet, which is usually invisible to our eyes. But when you put ultraviolet beads next to ultraviolet light, which is the sun is emanating, look, show us, Caroline.
Fast.
They're
changing color.
Now, I also have one here under a black light, and you can see that they change color as well.
Yeah, because isn't black light ultraviolet light?
Because black light is ultraviolet light. Exactly, Caroline. I'm actually going to put a bunch of beads under here too and show you what happens with that.
That's going to look so cool.
It's running out of time, so hit the X thing there. We're almost done, okay?
Yay.
Okay, sorry about that. We just wanted to make sure that everything was cool. Now, let me explain this really quickly. Ultraviolet is usually invisible to us, but we always feel the effects. So let me ask you, Caroline, you go outside on a cloudy day without any sunscreen, what are you in danger of getting?
Getting a sunburn, because even though people think there's clouds, it's actually more dangerous to get a sunburn.
It can be, because it doesn't reflect back up. So the ultraviolet light is all around us and it's not moving quickly back through the clouds. So we can get a sunburn. That's what happens with ultraviolet light. We don't see it, but we feel the effects of it, okay? Yeah. Just like these UV beads feel the effects of the ultraviolet. There's a chemical on them.
They got a sunburn that doesn't help. They get a
sunburn that actually goes away really, really quickly.
Unlike us humans suffering with the sunburn for like a
hopefully
week.
You can see that these beads changed. Let's go ahead and tilt. But yeah, see these, you can really see how they change.
Yeah,
okay?
Yours are more
hard. It's a little hard on the paper sometimes, but we want to show you that they do change, all right?
They do change.
What's really cool about this experiment is that you're putting sort of like your question into practice. What is the difference between astrology and astronomy? Well, we're making star patterns, so we're studying the stars, but we're using astrophysics to make a change in these beads. So we're actually practically using the sun to allow this change to occur.
Yeah.
Now, Carolyn, what would you do with these beads, say? What would you do with these? What do you think you could do with them?
I would, since they're more colorful, I think you could put them on the smaller stars
Yeah,
and
you
make
can
them
actually
more
just
colorful.
Yeah, you can just kind of add them to the paper if you want, sort of make it so it's harder to see the constellation so that when it does change, it's even more dramatic. Now, Caroline only went away for a few moments and she came back just so that we didn't have to wait for her too long. But if you take these outside and just sit them outside for a good 2, 3 minutes, they will stay those colors for a long, long time. So that's something to
Yeah,
think about doing afterwards. Also, keep making constellations. It's really fun and cool.
it
Now,
is.
it is, huh? Now, Caroline, do you have any further questions for me?
Hmm. Hmm.
You can ask up to 2 questions.
Up to 2 questions.
If you have any, you can ask up to 2.
Yes. Okay. I think the only question I have
Only one.
is
Yes, I looked out.
uh, is that if the Greeks also named the stars, what influenced people afterward to name a ton of the constellations after Greek myth characters, and
Hmm.
instead of choosing stuff from the time that they named them in?
Yeah, well, it's funny because all kinds of cultures did name the stars and name the
Hmm.
constellations. There's
Yeah.
still stars in the sky that we use the Babylonian name even still to this day. And they're very hard to pronounce, so I'm not going to pronounce any of them right now. And also, think about the Americas over here versus
Hmm.
Europe. We had the natives over here, and they did the stars on their own terms. Like they named them after like if they were southern like
Oh,
desert areas,
it
they
froze
named
again.
them after like lizards and things. So everyone did it. It was like something that's very universal. But for whatever reason, when it came to this more modern astrology, we stuck with the Greek. It just happened. It just is what happened.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
cool. Well, with that, we are going to say our farewells right now. So Caroline, you did so good. Let's give Caroline a huge round of applause.
Thank you.
You're awesome, Caroline. I hope we get to do another geek someday because you know
Yeah.
your stuff. If you are watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you do that, you will be able to see all the different videos that we have to offer, including our science videos, our story times, our Tot Tunes songs, and our Mr. O, oh wow moments. If you have a question yourself, just like Caroline did, please go ahead and submit your question to geeks@cmhouston.org. And we will get into our queue of geek questions and we will go ahead and answer them when we can. Also, if you have social media like Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, go ahead and make some of these constellations. The UV beads you can find online and they're very, very inexpensive. Go ahead and make some of these constellations, take pictures of them outside lit up, inside lit up, wherever, and go ahead and submit those photos or post those photos to our social media sites so we can see what you did and see how different you did them. All right, so Caroline, everything cool? You get your question answered?
Yes, it was.
All right,
That's very
well,
interesting.
say goodbye again, Caroline.
Goodbye, guys.
And we'll see you next time. Once again, let's thank Flint Hills Resources for allowing us to do this weekly Geek Out and hope to see you all soon. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.